Bryan Mbeumo's rise was never about stepovers or viral tricks. It has always been the math of movement. Blindside runs that defenders register too late, flat finishes hit one step earlier than expected, and an obsession with the cut-back lane. At Brentford, those habits turned into a signature season, the kind that looks like a spike on spreadsheets and like inevitability to anyone watching the tape. The lesson wasn't that he suddenly became a different player. It was that his repeatable actions finally stacked high enough to be undeniable. That's why his jump to a bigger stage was less a gamble than a stress test. Would the same patterns survive tighter spaces, smarter scouting, and louder stadiums? Start with geography, because his map is the message. He is not a chalk-on-boots winger. He lives 5 meters inside the touchline in the right half space, starting just outside a fullback's shoulder and finishing his runs between that fullback and the near center back. The first touch is often on the back foot, already turning away from pressure. The second touch is a punched layoff into a third-man runner or a disguised diagonal to the advancing wingback. The third touch, if he takes it, is either a flat strike across the goalkeeper or a cushioned finish from a low cross. Nothing about the sequence screams for a highlight reel. Everything about it bullies expected goals models by shaving reaction time from defenders and goalkeepers. Transfer the pattern to a possession-heavier side and the variables shift. There are more touches in organized phases, more defenders behind the ball, more attention on his inside shoulder. That can expose a winger who eats only in space. With Mbeumo, the answer is the connector game. He has learned when to play off the pivot to escape pressure, when to slide an early ball down the line to release the wingback, and when to hold the half space to keep passing angles open for the number 8. He doesn't need to dribble through contact to be dangerous. He needs to choose the right pass that turns a flat 4-back line into a set of isolated chases. Once the line is uneven, his sprint becomes decisive again. Finishing remains his calling card, and it still arrives from 2 families of chances. The first is the early hit across the keeper from a diagonal carry. The contact is flat, the release point is early, and the shot sneaks inside the far post before the keeper can gather his feet. The second is the cutback strike, a 1-touch or 2-touch effort from the penalty spot zone when the ball is pulled away from bodies. These are not lottery tickets. They are trained habits, repeated until muscle memory beats panic. Defenses can handle one such action in isolation. They struggle when those actions are chained to clean entries into the box, second phase switches, and wingbacks who touch the byline with discipline. Opponents, of course, adapt. The common counters are simple. Sit the right back a step deeper to block the slip pass, shade a screening midfielder toward his inside hip, and force him to receive with his back to goal. That turns the first touch into a duel. The evolution in his game is a technical detail with outsized impact, taking the first touch on the back foot away from pressure. That small orientation buys the half-second needed to play around the corner into a third-man runner. Take it square, and the attacker gets trapped. Take it away from pressure, and the defense is suddenly facing their own goal. Little mechanics, large outcomes. Pressing reveals the rest of his profile. He is not a headless presser. He is a lane shutter. The run curves to remove the pivot's passing lane. The hips point to the outlet he wants to deny, and he accelerates only when the pass leaves the center back's foot. That timing forces play to the flank, where a trap can spring with the help of the near number 8 and the wingback. The goal is not a dramatic tackle. It is a turnover within 2 touches near the touchline, precisely where the counter is shortest and the cutback lane is closest. When the curve is off by a meter, the pivot receives facing forward and the entire team must sprint backward. When it is right, the regain feels inevitable and the next action feels scripted. Set pieces remain undervalued currency in his game. Flat deliveries to the near post, early flights before the box is fully set, and screens that are more about angles than wrestling matches, all of it creates second balls that look messy but were rehearsed all week. He also carries a penalty legacy that steadies numbers across a season without distorting the shot map. The trick at a bigger club is apportioning responsibility without losing his instincts. Split corners by footedness and game state. Let him hunt rebounds at the edge of the six when others take the kick. And keep the same far post pause that has fooled markers since his Brentford days. The analytics debate, hot streak versus new standard? Usually. Forgets shot context. Overperformance against XG is expected when shots are taken earlier, with the keeper moving, and from blindside runs that turn contested chances into uncontested ones. Regression arrives when those preconditions disappear. Sustain the early release from the half space and the consistent byline feed, and his numbers settle into a believable band. Fewer fireworks from distance, more flat finishes from the corridor of certainty. Turn him into a touchline crosser and watch the returns thin. There are still ceilings to push. Against deep, patient blocks, he must resist the autopilot cross and commit to recycling possession until the byline lane opens. Against high lines that anticipate his diagonal sprint, he must vary the run. Near post feint before cutting far. Delayed burst that lets the 9 cross his path, or a checked run that invites the cutback to arrive behind the first wave. Against elite away presses, he must trust the reset when the trap is set on his inside shoulder. Not every touch needs to pierce the first line to be useful. These are sequencing choices, not personality tests. Optimization across a season lives in 3 dials. Dial 1, starting position. Keep him 5 meters narrower than a classic winger, so the first touch is already in the pocket, 1 pass from the box instead of 2. Dial 2, byline frequency. Guarantee that the weak side fullback or wingback hits the byline twice every 10 minutes. Even failed actions. Stretch the line and prime the cutback families of chances he finishes best. Dial 3, rest defense. Lock the near center back tight to the touchline, and the near pivot 5 meters outside the center circle behind his side, so that any giveaway becomes a contained counter, not a runway. These small constraints free the attacker to be aggressive where it matters. There is a human layer anchoring the numbers. Brentford's identity absorbed errors. Bigger clubs narrate them. That spotlight can turn an ordinary bad touch into a storyline. Mbeumo's personality, low touch by preference, unhurried by the need to be the protagonist in every sequence, fits the new ecosystem. He can be invisible for 15 minutes and still decide the game with 2 movements that look simple because the geometry was fixed 10 seconds earlier. Teammates learn to trust that invisibility. Coaches design for it. A squad filled with high-touch creators needs a low-touch finisher who arrives, not a volume dribbler who announces himself. Consider game states, because context shapes contribution. Leading by 1, his value is the outball that doesn't concede possession. The half turn into the pivot, the foul drawn on a defender backpedaling, the flat cross that either finds a boot or yields a corner. Chasing, his value is the repetition of the same 2 chance families until the defense overcorrects. 3 early hits to the far post, then a disguised cutback when fullback starts sprinting to block the lane. In. Stalemates. His mere occupation of the half space forces center backs to cheat, creating cleaner pockets for the number 10 on the opposite side. Not all impact lands on the scorer's line. Big away nights are the harshest exam. Legs fade, crowds lean forward, distances stretch. This is where his calm is an edge. He keeps the first touch sensible, resists the drama of a 40-meter carry into a cul-de-sac, and plays for the second wave. When the counter arrives, he chooses the angle that makes the cutback inevitable and the shot clean. If the finish doesn't come, The phase still ends with the ball in a corner and the opponent facing backward. That kind of adult possession wins cups as surely as fireworks do. Across months, the stat line that signals success isn't cartoonish, it's durable. Mid-teens league goals with a heavy share from open play. A shot map clustered around the inside right channel and the penalty spot. A low number of speculative crosses replaced by early low deliveries and laybacks, pressing actions that read more like shepherding than chasing, with regains occurring within 2 passes near touch. Fewer dribbles than some expect, yet more goals than many predict, because the economy of movement spends touches where they buy the most. The critique that will linger, can he carry an attack alone, misses the point of his archetype. He is not a soloist. He is a system amplifier. Put him beside a 9 who pins, a wingback who runs, and a midfielder who can hit the disguised diagonal, and the machine hums. Remove those pieces and he looks ordinary, not because he changed, but because the engine around him did. That's the bargain of the half-space finisher. He raises the ceiling of a structure rather than raising the floor by himself. Build the structure and the ceiling rises. So what defines the real Mbeumo on the biggest stage? The same 3 decisions repeated under stress. Half turn instead of square touch. Cut back instead of hopeful clip. Early hit instead of extra step. Keep choosing those and the film will keep looking the same. Defenders a stride late, goalkeepers a shuffle short, scorelines decided by simple actions that felt complicated until they weren't. The myths fade, the mechanism remains. In a league that rewards process and punishes noise, that is exactly how a winger becomes an outcome rather than a storyline.